This is Matt Russell, and welcome to the DailyFX Forum.
So here are the four pairs that I will be discussing this evening: the Euro Pound, the Aussie Kiwi, the Pound Swiss, and the Euro Swiss, as well as the Euro Aussie. So let's go ahead and pull up the charts. The first chart is the Euro Pound. If you recall, during the past several reports, I've been mentioning this resistance line on the upside here. I also added this simple support line during the last report, and we can see prices right now are directly in the middle of that range. So I really see no imminent trade setups for more aggressive traders. And again, this would be for more aggressive traders. I do like the fact that the market left behind this long wick here, the high of about 90.95. So with prices right now about 90.41, if prices get somewhere near the top of that wick, I might look to enter maybe about the 90.80 area with a stop maybe just at the figure, right at that 91 figure. So you're only risking 20 pips. Again, that would be for aggressive traders, and there are better trade ideas out there. Speaking of which, the Aussie Kiwi is the next chart, and if you recall, during actually it was this candle here that I mentioned the formation of the doji. I also mentioned an entry at 128.05 with a stop at 128.55, and actually during this candle here, prices made it up to about 28.11. So you possibly have entered this trade already at home, and if you are in it, I would continue to stay in it. The one thing that I mentioned during the last report is the 28. This is about the 28.18 area. Prices could be, and again, this is a little thin in terms of my analysis, could be forming a head and shoulder pattern here, and if they take it, but if prices do take out that line, as I mentioned yesterday, I would be a little less bearish. So let's assume you have a big position, or maybe you have two standard lots. If prices do make it up above that 128.18 area, I might get rid of one of those lots again, and we're using the high of this doji candle, 128.39, and placing our stop about, again, 128.55 on the short side. The next chart is the Pound Swiss, and not much has changed here. Again, this is just the inverse of the Euro Pound chart. The same logic would apply to this trade, but again, I'd like to just stick with the Euro Pound because it is a little tighter, a little less volatile, and you can manage your risk a little better, but still just using this simple support line and waiting for prices to come down and test that line. The next chart is the Euro Swiss, and if you recall, during the past several reports, I've been mentioning that 51.30 area as well as the 150 area for support down here. Prices did during this candle make it up to about 51.28, and I did mention that I've been on the sidelines with this pair, but prices did get very close to that line, so you very well could have entered the trade. I mentioned yesterday trying to get an entry about 51.25. Prices never made it all the way up to that level, but we could see now prices are just at that 51 figure. And again, these moves look a little bigger than they actually are. This is again only 25 pips or so down, and this looks like an ugly red candle. So again, if you're in that trade, I would continue to stay in that trade and maybe look to take profits here in the middle of the range, maybe about the 50.75 area. The next chart is the Euro Aussie, and as I've been mentioning during the past several reports, still waiting for prices to come down just beneath that 161 figure. I believe yesterday I was calling it about 160.90, and with a stop at 160.40. That will be the long trade if prices do make it down to that area, but right now prices are about 150 or 175 pips away from that entry at this moment. But Euro Aussie is a little volatile, so it's certainly within the realm of possibility that this trade setup could occur within the next 24 to 48 hours. Again, my name is Matt Russell. Thanks for listening, and please stay tuned for a preview of the DailyFX forums. I want to take this opportunity to formally welcome you all to the DailyFX forums. I want to go through the process of how I personally access the forums and how maybe you at home, if you want to access the forums in the future, might do so. The first thing you would do is go to www.dailyfx.com, and that will bring up, obviously, dailyfx.com, and usually there on the upper right hand corner I'll go ahead and click on where it says forum, and that will bring up the first page of the forums. And this view, I personally don't use this view, but this view actually shows you the most recent posts on all the threads within the different sections and a little detail about those posts, so you can read through and see if there's something catches your interest. But but personally I go ahead and just click on forums and view them in the more traditional sense. Now these are different threads within the forum. There's a section on education such as DailyFX course instructor tips, which would be good for newer traders, and then for more advanced traders. And I just want to go ahead, personally the way I use the forums is I would go through the individual threads, just looking for trade ideas, maybe looking at charts, looking at certain lines that maybe I didn't put up on my chart, but another trader might have put up on their chart. I tend to shy away from using direct trade recommendations from other forum members, but it helps me to sort of even out my analysis, make sure that I'm seeing things with the right mind in terms of I might be missing stuff that other traders can see, and that's my personal way of using the forum. Every trader is going to be a little bit different in how they use it. So if you want to ask questions, if you want to become an active participant of the members, you would have to go ahead and register. So that's what I'm going to go through now, is the registration process. So assuming you're brand new to the forums, or maybe you've been here a few times and you're not really sure how it works, so I just want to walk through again the registration process. This would be the front page where you would access, or the previous page. You'd have the same little box here on the left hand side. My username and password are already filled out here, but assuming you're a new member, you would click on where it says register, and that will bring up the registration page. If you give me one moment here while my browser loads. And actually first we're going to have some terms of service and DailyFX forum rules. I do suggest reading through the forum rules. Obviously, profanity and spam and things like that are not allowed, but it also gives you insight on how to use the forum and how different traders can use it, in terms of their individual needs. So you would go down to the bottom there. You'd click on where it says I have read all the rules, and then you would go ahead to the register, the formal registration page, and that will bring up here. And you can go ahead and select the username, and how about we'll use 4x, and that name is already in use, so maybe add a few more x's there. Again, it really, your individual username is up to you, and you go ahead and fill in your password, your email address. Now the most difficult aspect of registration for the DailyFX forums will be figuring out these letters in the box here. Now I'm a semi-intelligent person, but I have a very difficult time figuring out which letters and numbers to use. Now there is a reason for this madness. It helps with security, but I would suggest just going ahead and keep on clicking that refresh image until something comes through that you can actually identify and see. Then you can go ahead and enter your birthday, but you can decide whether or not to display that to other forum members. And then also, if you were referred by somebody, you can enter that information there. The time zone, that should default to your computer, but you should double check and make sure. And then you can opt in, and I would suggest opting in for these emails in terms if the administrators want to go ahead and send you some notices about the forum, and then you would complete registration. Now what happens is they would send you an email to the email address that you put up here, and that email will include a link, and all you would have to do is go ahead and click on that link, and that link will bring you inside the forum, and you would now be a member of the DailyFX forums. Again, this is Matt Russell. Thanks for listening.